Hello, everyone. This is Music is Our Friend, and we're coming to you today with another interview for you guys. Episode 2 here with the great Mark Ravitz. His career is vast with David Bowie, Whitney Houston, Backstreet Boys, Kiss, and today we're going to be talking with him about his work with David Bowie and also a little bit about his background and where he came from and a little bit about his inspirations. Mark, are you there with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Mark. How are you doing this morning? Good. Okay. So what I wanted to ask you is, can you tell us a little bit about, your background and, where you came from and, where you went to school? Kind of a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah. All right. So I'm a native New Yorker. I'm born in Manhattan. I'm in Brooklyn right now, but I'm born in Manhattan. I went to public school, and in the second grade, one of my paintings, whatever, George Washington's, man or something like this, I don't exactly remember the complete subject matter, but it had to do with George Washington, was picked out by some children's art gallery at the time, and so that made me feel good, I guess, and but I've been drawing and painting since 7 years old. And an uncle of mine was an architect, and so he taught me he encouraged me in my art and all, and he taught me how to draft when I was like 12.
Oh, that's
so
great.
He gave me my first, drawing board or whatever, so I could draft on that, make an angle and all. And I learned how to use a T-square and write with a ruling pen and everything. So, and I was making architectural models of little buildings and houses I designed when I was like 12 to 14.
Oh, fantastic!
So So when I got to high school age, in New York, they had specialized high schools, and one of them was music and art, the High School of Music and Art. A cousin of mine had gone there, and he took architecture in his senior year and went on to Cooper Union and became an architect. So I figured, okay, I can do that too. And so I wound up going to music and art high school. But when I got to my senior year, they did not offer the traditional architecture course that they had in the past, but they did offer a new course in stage design. Now, that also had drafting and model making. So I figured, okay, let me try that. And also, I would see a TV show. At the end, they would have a credit for an art director. So I knew that was a part of all that, and good for my ego, or whatever. So so I followed that up, and I wound up going to New York University School of the Arts, which is now Tisch School of the Arts.
Yes, I've heard of it. Very familiar.
And then at the time, I was the first full 4-year undergraduate student, one of the few of that particular year, but the first of the class of all that. So when I got to my senior year, I said, should I go to graduate school? They said, you want to teach? I didn't particularly care that I wanted to teach. So they said, go work. So that was it. I mean, the teachers that I had were professional designers in New York, from both lighting design with Jules Fisher, the Tony Award winner, to other designers, Ming Cho Lee, Jim Hamilton.
Oh, yes.
Roth.
For sure.
So I had, I was opened up into all that world.
For sure, yeah.
In my junior year, so in my junior year, I got this job at the Santa Fe Opera I emailed you about.
Yes.
And, that was my first airplane ride, and also, my exposure to the Santa Fe Opera and the whole scenic shop there. And I lived on the ranch or the compound of the Santa Fe Opera. They had some kind of
really?
house with crew, yeah. At the time,
I didn't even know there was a ranch up there.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure if it's a ranch, but they had a bunkhouse and
Yeah.
crew and stuff stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
At least at that time, there was even a pool.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice environment for me. I got my first motorcycle then. Just the exposure to the Southwest and everything.
For sure, yeah.
New to me. So okay, and that was when we went to the moon that summer. So that's where I was at the Santa Fe Opera when we went to the moon. Okay. Anyway, so back to New York, finish school, and then when I graduated, a friend of mine and I had a loft down in Manhattan, and our first job out of school was a Playboy Bunny of the Year show.
Oh, really?
So we did a presentation for that while we were still seniors in NYU, and we wound up. They liked it so much that they, joined it up with the opening of the Playboy Towers. The Knickerbocker Hotel in Chicago became the Playboy Towers Hotel overnight. I mean, the work crew was just tremendous.
Yeah.
And we did a show in the ballroom there. So with the bunnies and David. Was it David Steinberg? I think the comedian's name.
Yeah.
Tiny Tim was one of the performers.
Ah, Tiny Tim, yes.
We went to Hef's Mansion after all that, the opening, after the show, and so that was all like Playboy of my pubescent years come to life.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So from there, my friend and I, John Tedesco, we had our loft, we fixed it up, and then in the fall of that year of 1970, I got a call to help design the first tour of the rock opera Tommy.
Ah,
so
yes.
I did that through Jules Fisher, and was that? I'm trying to keep my years straight. I was already in Brooklyn then, so no, that's not true. So I back up on that. Anyway, life goes on, and I wound up in 1974. So I did the tour of Tommy before that, probably in 73 or so. But beyond that, I went to, I got a call from Jules Fisher to design for David Bowie.
Yes, and, that's just what I was going to get into.
So I got a call with input Fritz Lang's Metropolis, Power, the word Power, and Nuremberg. That was my input for all that. Yeah. But also, a year after Bowie, I got a call from Jules to do Kiss.
Yes.
And that was a new up-and-coming band. They weren't anything yet. I did their first Splash Pots. I premiered them at the Academy of Music in Manhattan at the time, and then on from there we went. But so back to Bowie and Dogs. So we met a few times after that input. I had some sketches. Yes, this, no, that. Yeah. I also had this set of idea plates, if you will, some different ideas on them, and we went through them. And in the meantime, all the rooms, I think it was a Sherry Netherland he was staying in, and then I would meet him in. They were just full of his entourage, and so that was, it wasn't like one-on-one with them really. It was one-on, 5 or 6, 8 people or something
in a big room with a big meeting.
Yeah. It was just, words flying around or whatever it is. But okay, so I got it narrowed down and worked the ideas over, and from that point, everything was okay, and we went forward and had it built in Design Associates in New Jersey, and so that took its time, had its ups and downs, but finally went on in Toronto, and then had a few weeks of ups and downs on the road. Although I wasn't on the road once it opened, because as a designer, I'm superfluous to the expense. Yeah. So they cut that, and that was it. Then I wound up doing Kiss next, and
the Destroyer tour.
No. This was just the premiere of them.
Oh, the Academy of Music.
Yeah. And then life goes on. Then I did the Destroyer tour, and then so that was '76. Then I wound up doing Saturday Night Live for Bowie, and then I did the Diamond.
Serious Moonlight.
Serious Moonlight in '83, and then '87 was the Glass Spider, and I did have a meeting with Gene from Kiss, which was like '80 or '81, and people have all these myths about this tour or whatever, but nothing ever happened. It was just I had a nice idea for some set for that, but
I believe that was. Well, let me interrupt. I believe that was supposed to be the Elder tour. Am I correct?
Yeah. I had nothing to do with that. Yeah. But let's see what else. So that's the chronology of everything, and then when was it? I guess it was '87 also when I did the Whitney Houston tour the first time, and she was just becoming public, and that was a nice treat.
Yeah, and for sure.
Then a few years, then in '99 I did the Backstreet Boys. Yes,
the Millennium World Tour.
Correct. And then their brief stint on the MTV Awards, they were asked to be on that very late. Yeah. And so there was very limited as to what we could do on stage.
For sure,
So, but okay.
But you had dealt with that with Saturday Night Live with Bowie. Kind of limited constraints.
Yeah, but it was limited because of Bowie. I mean, or what they gave him, but it wasn't like I couldn't use, the lift here or these lights or whatever it may be. But it was a different thing for Bowie. But okay, but that was pretty much the chronology of all that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the last tour I did.
So I kind of want to go back to the Diamond Dogs tour. And about the inspiration and the concept of the stage. I mean, you have these almost like these skyscrapers, and then this bridge that goes across through into the skyscrapers. I'm curious, what was the inspiration behind that?
Okay, so Fritz Lang's movie, The Metropolis.
Yes.
They have these kind of so that was a touch of that. And then the bridge, I'm pretty sure, was a thought of mine, and but all these things were gelled together with Bowie's input.
Right.
And I had to given him a variety of rough sketches for different looks altogether, and I like this, don't like that, this.
So you kind of give him like a menu and just say pick this, pick that. Yeah.
Here, he did not have anything special in his mind.
Yeah.
When we got to Serious Moonlight, he had, some kind of direction in his mind a bit. But here, he really didn't have anything particular in his mind except those words of, Metropolis, Power, and Nuremberg.
Yeah.
So, he wanted. So also, you see there are drips on the buildings.
Yeah.
And I was working on personal work with drips, and so I brought this up to him, and he said, okay, let me see, or whatever it is. And so I did up a sketch, and he liked that, or he was open to it, and that's how that evolved.
Oh, well, it really is fascinating, because you go from, Diamond Dogs to, 74, And then the Sirius Moonlight tour, you sort of get these kind of, I don't know what you would call it, these cylindrical, backdrops that are just sort of hanging down in the back. There's 4 of them. And I'm curious about, was that something that you came up with or something that Bowie would have come up with?
He wanted some kind of columns.
Columns, yeah.
Let me tell you how all that whole thing worked out. So there's publicity, Bowie, whatever. This is the Let's Dance and all. This was, I like that particular music.
Yes.
And
Great
so
album.
I got a call on a Wednesday if I was interested. I said yes, I'm interested. I got a call on the next day, Thursday, to confirm. I got a flight out of JFK to Lausanne, Switzerland on Friday. I see him Saturday in Lausanne. He picks me up in his souped-up Volvo sedan and takes me to his home where they had all kinds of skis and stuff in the entry area and all. So I spend a few, maybe like 3 or 4 hours with him. And this guy, Eric, I forget his last name, but Eric, his stage manager at the time, and he was with him in Diamond Dogs also. So, I knew him, but he was just there for logistics or whatever. But, I just talked with Bowie about, surrealism and various things and got down to the design of the show. And so I leave and I evolve that into, the clear columns, but I know that they'll adhere with dust and we can light that. And then the architectural elements, the pediments on top. I designed those, a few different types of those, and showed them to him, and that was all good. But I didn't know anything about the costumes or the lighting. Yeah. He kept everything in a separate silo.
So you never worked with
the only one.
Sorry, you never worked with the lighting department when you were designing?
Correct. I never worked directly with Alan Brand was a light designer for this, and Peter Hall was the costume designer for it, and he worked at the Metropolitan Opera or something like that. And but I never knew what the costumes were or any particular flow of the lighting or whatever. We got into rehearsal, we did all that, but I had no idea what was what with all that. On purpose, he kept it separate like that.
Yeah, and from that tour, from what I can recall, Bowie seemed to alternate from kind of like a blue suit to more of a kind of like an orange suit. He would bring out different types of suits then, and but also what I am curious about is for that tour and for the Glass Spider tour, was there multiple stages built? Because I know some artists, they'll have multiple stages.
Yeah, they do it to leapfrog. Yeah. So they can be ready. Yeah, I think so for Sirius Moonlight. I don't recall exactly, but Glass Spider, yes. But I just don't recall for the Sirius Moonlight. I don't think so, but I don't recall that. I just don't.
And I'm just curious. I mean, you had to have gone to the shows, right? To see.
Yeah, to start them.
To see and that must have been. What was that like to see your design basically come to life?
Oh, I love it. That's part of what I do.
Yeah.
To see, for Diamond Dogs. One of the big moments for me was when we were in Madison Square Garden. The place was packed, and when he came riding out on the giant mirror ball, right, that he sits atop of, and when the spotlights hit that and reflected, it was because it was designed to be like a giant mirror ball, which is what it was. And when the spotlights hit that, and it gleamed all over the arena, man. That was a super rush for me. I love that.
For sure, yeah.
And then when in the Sirius Moonlight, that went into stadiums, and so the rush of 50,000 people, for something happening, whatever. Especially even more so with the glass spider, when he would get on top of the spider on at the very end or whatever.
Yes.
Wow, I mean the audience would go nuts, whatever.
Yeah.
So those are those kind of moments for me that I look for, and get the rush I'm seeking or predict I can get from in my head, that I can predict this is going to be a good moment, and then it is a good moment. So that's very gratifying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when you're designing a stage for Bowie or for anybody, do you have to take into account, is this going to be an arena show? Is this going to be a stadium show? And you have to work around that, basically.
Well, you have to take it into consideration. I mean, weather or wind or whatever, or things that are indoors. It definitely varies.
Yeah.
But those things you take into consideration.
Now, let's get into the Glass Spider tour. When did you get approached after the Sirius Moonlight? Because this would have been 87?
Yeah, that was 87. So it was a few years later. Apparently, he had started this with some other designer and wasn't going well or well enough or whatever. And he called me up, and I went to see him, and he wanted a spider. He didn't say it could have been something that fit in his hand, or it could be the stage.
So he came up with the design for the spider.
I came up with the design for the spider.
Well, he came up.
Wanted a spider.
He wanted a spider.
He wanted of some type. He didn't say, I want a stage that's a spider.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It could have been something, a prop he held in his hand.
Yeah.
But that's not where my head went.
But he basically just said spider.
Spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was like ship's ropes or something like this, like rigging. And, but the spider also has, web and stuff like that.
So that was an original concept from Bowie, basically, is what I'm trying to say, was the spider.
But not as a stage, per se.
Yeah.
That was from me.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, that's where you come in.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about, because I had read that they had started the tour, I think it was in Europe, for the Glass Spider tour. And as they were going into the arenas, they started to notice that it wasn't starting to fit, actually, with the arena. So they had commissioned what they dubbed, I believe, the Junior Bug set. Are you familiar with that?
No.
A smaller set?
No, I'm not familiar with that at all.
Not familiar with that? So I had read that they had built a second stage to accommodate smaller venues. Is that true?
I have no idea of that. I'm not aware of that at all.
Oh, not aware of that?
Honestly.
But
as far as I knew, they built two the same.
Yeah.
And they leapfrogged them.
Yeah.
And and that was it. It wasn't designed to go indoors, because when we set it up to rehearse it indoors, we put it laterally across the arena. So it wasn't like a normal arena show. You had it at one end of the arena. But here for rehearsal, it was so big that we put it lengthwise or laterally, or however you want to say it, in the arena to rehearse. So it wasn't designed to be indoors. Yeah.
Whose idea was it to have Bowie come down at the beginning of the show in a chair?
I honestly can't say. It may have been his. I honestly can't say. I don't recall it one way or another.
Because I know.
I mean, there was definitely, let's just say, a whole walkway up in the air where you get around and stuff. And so, it was used for that. But he definitely wanted to come up out of the spider at the end, and that was like 50 feet in the air. That was like, I went into that spot to see it and feel it and whatever myself.
Yeah.
And there was a small like lift with a big steel pipe welded to it, and he had a big fat strap around the middle for him to get harnessed into it, and then you still had to have like giant balls to stand there and go up.
Yeah.
In front of the crowd. Wow, that was some place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
He did that to push himself.
For sure. Yeah.
It wasn't like he used some prop person or stunt double or something, but he did that. He said it to me that he likes to extend himself.
Well, he was definitely a showman, and he wanted to create a theatrical sort of spectacle. And I think that's kind of why he probably gravitated towards you, Mark, was because of your theater background, and he knew that you can deliver something that is original, something that is unique. And I just want to read a quote that what Bowie said about the Glass Spider stage. He said, "It's a feeling of a ship, which is the voyage, with the rigging and the climbing and the ropes. And the bottom circular area is like the circus of lights. So it really is from birth and the voyaging through life." So is that an accurate assessment?
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but I can appreciate that. Yeah, there's all kind of symbols there, and there was also one part of that the last Spider tour where there's the chorus, if you will, creates on stage a satellite made out of musical instruments.
Oh,
so this it was like a muted moment, if you will, but then it ascended up into the rigging or whatever. But that to me was like a kind of magical. That was my idea, but it was like a kind of like little magical thing because this was the time of all the MTV and all that stuff.
Sure,
this was the music satellite.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of want to go back to Kiss. Your start with Kiss, how were you approached by that? Was that something that Gene and Paul approached you on initially?
No. That was I got a call from Jules Fisher. He got a call from Bill Aucoin, I guess, and who was the manager for Kiss at that time. And so Jules called me because we just worked on the David Bowie tour, Diamond Dogs, and knew I was into the rock and roll and all that. The thing is, being that I went to NYU in my senior year, a lot of people from my senior class and the tech department there helped build the Fillmore East.
Oh, no way.
Right. So it was right down the block. That was 2nd Avenue and between 6th and 7th Street.
Bill Graham's Fillmore, right?
Yes. And the School of the Arts at that time was housed on 6th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. It was just down the block. So a lot of the people there that helped build that went into the world of rock and roll touring. And then I knew them because I was there. I went to school with them, but I was in the design department, and so at times they needed a designer and this and that. And Jules was also well aware of everything going on there, and so I was I was not your normal Broadway kind of designer in that world, but design of different types of things that are theatrical. So I wound up getting into the world of rock and roll touring for a while.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Destroyer tour briefly. How did you get started on that? Because I know you'd worked in the Academy of Music presentation.
Right. So that was 74. So here we are, come to 76, and Bill Aucoin went back to Jules, and then Jules called me up, and I met with Aucoin, and the KISS, the band itself, was in Europe touring. So we designed this whole thing without any of their input. And then when they got back, and Aucoin tells them that we have this tour all done and built, right? Built.
Yeah.
And so they were totally pissed. We went up to Newburgh, New York to see, the physical set, and they're walking around there, and they're ripping this up and this prop or that prop that, people that make props for the Metropolitan Opera and Broadway and stuff, $1,000 worth of stuff, they're just breaking it up and making fun. So whatever. So the Aucoin finally settles them down. We make a few little changes here and there, but it's basically the same set with them coming over the amps from the back, and charging down. And apparently that's my staging, and apparently that's the dynamic that they used for years following that. So anyway, so that was part of all that, and so that that set was iconic for them for a long time.
It really was. It was.
No, it was their big logo. Each one had their own little personality area, and so that was all good. So that was it. So it opened July 3rd, and we went to my wife and I, we drove to Norfolk, Virginia for the opening. And then after that, we drove through the night to get back to New York for July 4th, 1976, where they closed the Verrazano Bridge. But, the whole harbor was full of bicentennial party, and we drove and got back to New York in the nick of time and into giant crowds, and that was great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Destroyer tour is it was such a great tour because you guys had these two towers on either side, which were basically for the lights, and then the back, obviously, the iconic KISS logo. I'm curious about Gene and Paul compared to Bowie. Do they both offer the same sort of creative freedom for you to kind of just freely come up with, and express ideas and present it to them?
Well, here it is in this particular tour. The Destroyer, like I said, was already designed when they got here. When they got back from Europe. So there wasn't much input for them, and they were just really. Gene was more the leader of it all, with Paul seconding him, but it was really a lot of Gene, and he just wanted to know what the effects were, the gig, not the gigs, what the jokes were, that kind of thing like that. Yeah, that's all.
Now let's go to. Was it, I believe, 80 or 81 when you got approached to do a possible KISS tour, which never took off?
Right.
How did that come about, and what was kind of the backstory there?
Yeah, I forgot who called me, but I wound up eventually meeting with Gene, and I had some sketches. And he just wanted to know what are the effects, the effects, whatever, and that was it. We never gelled on that. I had a beautiful dreadnought kind of feeling for heavy metal for that, and you know what dreadnoughts are? Like turn of the 19th or 20th century, the giant steel battleships with big rivets and stuff.
And that's what I was going to bring up is I've seen your sketches, and I believe Three Sides of the Coin covered this with you, but they're almost kind of like Creatures of the Night tour, almost, which was would have come in, I believe it was '83 that they did the Creatures of the Night. And so there's kind of, I believe, some inspiration from your design into the Creatures of the Night. You know, the design of metal, you know, of power, you know, of this tank, you know, and that it really is, to me, the perfect concept for a heavy metal stage, you know, in the 80s, you know.
No, I definitely would have wanted to have done that, but but as life turns out, you don't get what you want all the time.
Yeah.
But another concept for it was two giant jet engines on either side of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a sketch of this at some point also. Mm-hmm. That for the sound of you want a decibel level. Well, let's put on a couple of jet engines and see how you can hear something. So that was the whole concept for the stage also. But but okay, and I never wound up doing any kind of tour after that for them.
Yeah. Well, it really is a shame, you know, because the Destroyer is so iconic, and I almost feel like some of these ideas, whether it be with Bowie, whether it be with Kiss, could still be used today. In terms of theatrics.
I still have like a bunch of sketches from different people that definitely apply today. I mean, but there's so much that today it's a video screen, and but that's like for me it's just so two-dimensional. I just can't get over it.
Mm-hmm. Nowadays, you have I don't know if you heard of the Sphere.
No, totally. I mean, that to me, it's it's a wonderful thing from the outside. It's probably a wonderful thing from the inside. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But but it blows away any performer in there that I've seen so far.
Yeah. And your stages are kind of like, they have this sort of personality, whether it be Glass Spider, whether it be Diamond Dogs, especially Diamond Dogs. It almost tells this story. David Bowie comes out in the beginning of the Glass Spider tour, the opening, and he gives this little introduction about, the spider, and then he, comes down, in this chair. It's very, grand and theatrical. And I feel like nowadays, a lot of artists tend to lack that sort of, story element, to it, and it's all just, digital, digitized. And I feel like we need more of that for sure,
Well, anybody listening to this, I'm open for business.
Taylor Swift, if you're listening. Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I kind of want to get into Whitney Houston. How did that come about, and what is kind of the backstory?
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was working on the bicentennial of New York with the rededication of the Statue of Liberty and all that stuff. This whole design team. I wasn't any head designer on that, but I had my venues that I was in charge of designing. Mm-hmm. So while that was happening, this was '87. While that was happening, the manager I had, or somebody I knew at that time, the business manager for Bowie at that time, Bruce Dunbar, who negotiated for him in '83. So I got to know him, whatever, and I got a call, I guess through them, that they had, knew Whitney Houston's people, and they were looking for a designer, and it may have been even Alan Branton, the lighting designer from series Moonlight, that recommended me to Whitney Houston's people, and they called me up, and that got negotiated for me through Bruce Dunbar, through Bowie's people, or through he he worked for me, but he was a lawyer for Bowie at that time.
Right.
But I got to know him through their various negotiations. Okay, so that's how I did it. That's how I got involved there, and rehearsed in Asbury Park in New Jersey, and I designed that. It was for like Jones Beach outdoor venue. So it was, I met her and I just made something really decorative for her that had a little movement with like the fringe and stuff on top and some moving pieces of the set behind her. But just, decorative. There was no like heavy message there. Her voice was the message. It was just beautiful. She was young. She was like 18 or 19 at the time before she was like turned into a whole different life beyond that. Her parents were all over her and, watching her rehearsal and all this business. And she has like a family background of all singers. Dionne Warwick is her aunt. On and on like that. So that was all good, and it was successful. And that was it.
That's great.
That's about. Yeah. It was all a good time. That was all a good time.
Now, was that an arena tour?
Yes.
An arena tour?
It was basically, but it was also I think one of the first uses of it was Jones Beach Theater, and so that's outdoors.
So an amphitheater.
I guess, it was like maybe about 9,000 people or so. It wasn't huge, but it was intimate, and 9,000 people intimate, but okay. But, So, that was all good.
So from 87 to, I believe it is 99, Backstreet Boys Millennium Tour?
Right. I was doing corporate stuff. I was doing, during this time also in the late 70s through mid-80s, I did work for Studio 54. Their big Halloween parties, and, got to know Ian Schrager and Steve Rebell or whatever. So when they moved to the Academy of Music, it became the Palladium on 14th Street, which is where Kiss was originally.
For sure, that's where they got their start.
All that stuff was just a few blocks from where I grew up. I grew up on 11th Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. And that was all just walking distance to where I grew up. It was just incredible like that.
Was there ever an artist that you got an offer to work with that maybe due to, other commitments that you might have turned down that you're just like, I wish I could have done that?
Nothing off the top of my head, although let me just tell you a little bit of my background to bring it to date. When I was growing up, my father had a laundry and dry cleaning business, and one of our customers was the pop artist Roy Lichtenstein. So he lived at that time on 26th Street in the loft between 6th Avenue and I think it was Broadway. And so I went there on a Saturday morning with my father, and it was going to be an artist. He had me do the delivery, whatever. He would wait in the car downstairs. And so the first time I went up there, I go knock on the door of his loft, and by the front door, and I see his bed that has like a good-looking woman in it, and I see the giant pictures down at the other end of the loft, like giant cartoons, and I look at this scene, and I think to myself, I want to be an artist. And so that was influential in my life for sure. And and then I would get to know him. I'd get some scrap pieces of plastics that he was using, and get to see his artwork.
So he was kind of like a mentor to some degree.
Well, not really, although I would say he was a rising star in the art world, you know, and
Yeah.
I got to see all that, and I got invited to his, I mean, he knew I
You got to shadow him.
what I was saying. Yeah, and I got invited to all his openings at Castelli Gallery, and I got an inside view into the pop art world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was all good, and that, you know, it just inspired me that much more. I mean, I knew the people.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And, you know, so that, you know, that was just another aspect of exposure that I had growing up into the world of art and the different aspects of it, whether it be fine art or stage design or advertising, commercials. I never got into film, though. I just never
got into film.
No, I never did. I did a couple of commercials, but I never got into that texture.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I liked people. I liked knowing I could affect 50,000 people at once. That's a rush. You know?
It is.
That's a rush.
It really is. Like you know, the artists when they come on stage and they get that rush, you also get that rush too, because this is your design coming to life, you know, and you get to see the reception, and I'm sure the reception is phenomenal, you know, to see people, you know, the eyes light up, you know, magical presentation.
Well, here's something like with the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
You know, so we make
I was just going to get into that one.
okay, but Backstreet Boys. So here we are. You know, we're at the arena, and before the show is happening, and there are all these young girls that are in their tweens, right?
Yeah.
You know, 12, 14, and you know they have videos playing just to entertain them, and they're all practicing. They're screaming, "Wow!" and throwing the dolls and everything, but the screaming just for anything was just like, wow.
For sure. Almost like the Beatles.
Really? I mean, wow.
Yeah, for sure. So, how did you get involved on the Backstreet Boys Millennium Tour? How did that come about?
I got a call because of KISS. Somebody in their management admired KISS and reached out to me, and I was available, and I went to meet, it was at Kevin, and I forget where it was, but it was someplace, and they had some kind of design already working, and their stage manager at that time was not cooperative, and he eventually was dismissed, not because of me, whatever, but just his poor interaction with people. But I remember sitting in the first meeting with Kevin, and he's drinking, you know, whatever kind of soda and just belching away. So this was a class act to begin with. Yeah. And, so eventually that evolved, and, so it had its own fun about it. And, so that was it.
Yeah. And that was, from my understanding, that was a stadium tour, right?
Not that I recall, no.
Was it?
It was an arena tour.
Stadium, or it was a strictly arena tour.
I believe, yeah. I don't. I wasn't in any place where it was outside.
Because maybe sometimes they, depending on the market or whatever, they could potentially set it up in a stadium, maybe in Europe or something. But like you said, a lot of artists, they have multiple stages, so it's really hard to tell,
Well, here with Backstreet Boys, they were flying to the stage, so you're not going to do that so easily in the stadium, whereas you can more so in an arena. Yeah. As far as rigging and stuff. So, but I honestly, I don't recall us doing that in any stadium.
Yeah. So from 99 to now, what have you kind of been up to? Have you kind of have you kind of strayed away a little bit from designing stages? What's been kind of going on?
It's like it's a different generation. What can I say? And the people that I knew aren't in the business anymore, or have died, and I'm definitely open for it.
For sure.
I'm not a digital designer. I draft. I make models, and like I said, I'm open for it for sure.
Do you still make time for artwork?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Plus, like recently, we travel when we can now, and because we live on planet Earth, and it's not the same anymore like it used to be. And we scuba dive around the world. And
I was just going to get into that. You have some fascinating underwater photography, and I highly recommend everybody to go onto his website, Mark Ravitz, artanddesign.com, to see his phenomenal photography.
Thank you. I know. I like to record it. We go on surf and turf vacations, my wife and I, when we can, and do some underwater and do some above water. And we're just back just 3 weeks from the Galapagos Islands and the Ecuadorian Amazonian rainforest. So it's like two completely different environments, but that's all part of where we live on planet Earth.
How was the Amazon?
Oh, I mean, we love it. We love it. That's why when we went there, we have had tastes of different things like that in the past. In Peru, a riverboat in Peru down the Amazon, or where the two headwaters of two rivers meet to create the Amazon. And we've been to Borneo, safari in Africa a few times.
You've gotten around, Mark.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely so.
That's fantastic. So the last part of this, I really want to get into some of the questions that actually some viewers submitted for me to ask you. So one of the questions that from our viewers is, what are some of your favorite memories working with Bowie?
Let's see. Well, it's just the whole mystique of him. When I first met him, he had orange hair at that moment. At the Sherry Netherland was first in person, and the whole entourage. Just being around that was different for me. I was also around Frank Sinatra. I did a show for Frank Sinatra on Broadway.
I didn't know about that one. Wow.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, Frank Sinatra on Broadway with Count Basie and Ella Fitzgerald.
No kidding.
And, Ella Fitzgerald. I mean, just between the two of them, the words, the articulation of words, all of that was terrific.
Is there any footage of that available anywhere?
Not that I'm aware of. That was in 70. Probably 75 or 6 or so. We took a trip after that.
What kind of set design did they have for that?
For Frank Sinatra?
For Sinatra.
I styled it after a sharkskin suit.
No kidding.
My mindset.
Oh, that's fascinating.
It was the style at the time, So I had some scrims that went up and just different things. Piano platform for Count Basie that moved forward. But it was all about just leaving the stage pretty raw for Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald, they'd help her get out there to the center of the stage. Her eyeglasses were like the bottom of Coke bottles; they were so thick. But boy, she would just stand there and sing, and you could hear a pin drop. I mean, in rehearsal, it was just great to be there at rehearsal with her like that. And everybody just stopped to watch her do her thing. And then when Sinatra, the same thing with him too, his articulation of words and gestures and stuff, and he needed a telephone for his dressing room. So the head of the New York Telephone Company comes and makes sure it's installed right.
How was he to work with? Was he really good to work with?
Yeah, I didn't have that much interaction with him other than have lunch with him one day. I made a model of the set, which was an 1/8-inch model. So it's just small, so I could, show it to him. And for some reason, I forget exactly how it happened, but coleslaw got all over it while I was showing it to him, whatever. But,
no.
That was all. Yeah, that was all.
Yeah.
And I still have the model. No, it's great.
That's one fascinating element that I've known. I've observed about your work is that you'll create a model, and or if you want, is it appropriate to say like a diorama?
You could say that. I mean, it's like but interchangeable almost for me. But most set designers will usually create a model, but not all. It's not exclusive, but I like to do it just because you see different things, and see what that reality is, or
Now, did you do that with every artist?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And have you kept all of them? Or?
Although I didn't do that for Whitney Houston.
Okay.
I did not do that. I created various sketches and all, and renderings and drafting, but I don't recall making a model for her. Yeah. I actually made a model for Billy Idol, who I was going to work with him. This was through Aucoin Management from KISS, and it was all designed, approved of. And when the shop came to pick up the check to start making it, they backed out.
No kidding.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why.
What year was
Billy
this?
Idol it was after Destroyer. I think it was the late 70s, early 80s sometime.
And what was kind of just to briefly, what was kind of the design that you had in mind for Billy Idol?
Yeah. So I had like road boxes that you could, you use road boxes to get your equipment here and there. But I wanted to make those as part of the stage and make those not necessarily props, but part of the stage design, along with some other kind of drippy kind of things I wanted to use, and some angles of lighting and just the various things. And I still have the model.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, but it's like it never was. It never was,
Yeah, and I'd love to see it.
Billy Idol was, nice enough to me, whatever. But he was definitely a personality at the time.
Yeah.
And but that was it.
Oh, that's fascinating.
I really don't know why it didn't go on.
Yeah, that would have been just fascinating. To work with Billy Idol. Yeah. Like you said, after '76. I believe that was pre, Rebel Yell era, which would have come later in the 80s. I believe so. I kind of want to go back to the questions from our viewers.
Sure.
Somebody wants to know when was the last time you spoke to Bowie, and do you remember what it was about?
I had no words with him after the Glass Spider tour.
Oh, no words after that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I sent Valentine's out each year, and he would send me a holiday card or whatever.
Right.
But after a certain while, we went on for years. But I guess it was the early 2000s or something where he stopped returning it.
Yeah.
Or returning the gesture, and that was that.
Yeah.
I don't know why or whatever, but that was it.
So another person has a question. Why do you think people nowadays refer back to these stages? Do you think there's theatrical and creative elements that aren't seen so much today? Which we kind of got into, but
yeah. I mean, I would think so. I mean, it's more.
Yeah.
If they can, create imagery on, on the stage with the video screen, it's cheaper and easier.
Yeah.
And so I would think that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The money. It's all about the money
For
and
sure.
the cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said, what is a piece of advice for people who someday want to have an amazing career like you had? Would you suggest getting a degree in art or architecture?
Well, you need some kind of passion for your expression.
Yeah.
So if that comes
I
from,
totally agree.
so if that comes from, something you've learned in the school or trained in the school to perfect or direct the passion you have, then that's good. For me, it is everything in life. It's like timing and who you know, or what kind of cereal you had that morning, or it's a variable of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like like my father had a laundry dry cleaning business. It's like I wouldn't have gotten to know Roy Lichtenstein, and then some other artists of the time became our customers, and I would see them and see their work and their lifestyle and all. And so those things drove me and supported me mentally or whatever.
I have a question. What are you most proud of? I mean, throughout all this, adventure of just an amazing career that you've had, working with these phenomenal people, these phenomenal artists, what are you the most proud of? Like at the end of the night, you just go, I'm just so happy that I did that,
Yeah, it's funny when I would, come back from an opening of a tour or something, and I would, walk to get a bagel or something in my neighborhood. It was like I'd be beaming internally that I just did this or I just did that. I don't know if it's any one particular thing, but the fact that I've done them and I'm still here and still in relatively good health and open to doing more and traveling more. I have to say, at least I made it in my terms to this point in life.
Well, like you said,
I've been freelancing my whole life, except for the time that I worked on Liberty Weekend. That was when the rededication of the statue.
Oh, really?
Oh, that was just before I got into the Whitney Houston tour, and so that was '86, and so that was
someone asked, what do you feel is the best stage that you've ever designed?
They're all different, but I like both the Diamond Dogs and I like the Kiss Destroyer tour, and I like the Serious Moonlight tour.
Yeah. I mean, but it's kind of hard to pick because they're kind of like all kids, children to you.
Yeah.
And it's like it's hard to pick one exact one because they all have their own memories and their own, specific, importance to you, different purposes to you. Yeah. So the last question that I want to ask you is, 200 years from now, when we're all gone, and when we're all, down under the grave or whatever, what piece of work that you've done would you like to be remembered for the most and stand the test of time?
Well, I make all these drips and stuff that I have that I first did with Bowie on the Diamond Dogs. I had just started experimenting with those personally with little plaster drips coming down my wall in my apartment. But now I have them on the front of my building. And so, and I see people walk by every day and look up and smile, and I know I pass that smile on to thousands of people over time. So I like that. I like the idea that my trips are on my building, and I wouldn't mind being remembered for that.
Mark?
They're on my
website. Yeah, his website is phenomenal, everybody. I mean, you have to check it out. There's not just, a section about, the artists that he's worked with, but it's also, there's a lot of drawings, a lot of paintings, a lot of sculptures that Mark has done. I mean, it's just vast. And so anyways, I'll leave that for the viewers to go and to explore for a Sunday afternoon. But Mark, I really want to thank you very, very much for taking your valuable time to come and to talk with us today. And it's been an absolute pleasure, and hope we could do it again sometime.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.